Welcome to today's video for January 19th. I'll cover the LCK Week 2 Day 1 as well as LPL Week 2 Day 3. I do this every day for all four major regions. Even on the weekend when there's all those games, I'll make two separate videos with the LEC and LCS secondary in a secondary part. I do power rankings every week. My LCK power rankings came out last week. I already wish that they're already off. Who would have thought this was happening? Nanshan gonna beat Damwon in a best of three. That's pretty wild. Nevertheless, let's get started. Red Forest Damwon, first series of the day, was obviously a 3-game series. Red Forest pretty much was the better. Obviously was the better team in two of these games by a lot. We have 18-6, 11-4, but even the 13-13, the second game, Damwon eked it out. Excuse me. So, first game, Nanshan just said we're gonna go after Hoya, and I don't blame them, which ended up resulting in them switching to Birdall in game 2 because Hoya is a problem. But then come to find out, Birdall is also, Damwon has issues trying to figure out how to keep their top laners alive. Nevertheless, game 1, like I said, Red Forest goes top. Damwon answers by taking an Infernal. Then Damwon goes mid to try and win the mid matchup and offset the mid matchup. Then they said, okay, well, fine then. We're going to, Nanshan decided to go back top again. They end up going top 3 times in the early game before 15 minutes. Damwon said we're going to go bot lane, and in that exchange of simultaneous pressure, Red Forest came out 2-1 because they were able to outplay the dive. Damwon, however, were taking Drake, so Damwon would take the Ocean. By the end of this, Red Forest would get to Soul Point, and Damwon would not. 15 minutes in, Red Forest would go 2-0 in mid, get some kills. By 16 minutes, Red Forest were up 6-2, a 3K gold lead, and Dread was 3-0-1. Dread ends up being the MVP. He showed up in some facet in all 3 games. Ghost also showed up big in the last game, but he was a ghost in the first game, in my opinion, so I didn't put him as the MVP. Where Dread was clearly making things happen all over the Rift and knew what the objective was to attack where Damwon was weak. 18 minutes, Red Forest would win again in mid lane to extend their lead, then go to Mountain. And after that, there weren't a lot of skirmishes happening. You see a lot of brown here and a little bit of black. It's because not a lot was happening in terms of fights. Damwon were hoping to scale, where Red Forest were just taking objectives. They took the Mountain, and then, Damwon did go to Soul Point. Damwon would get a pick, go to Soul Point at 23 minutes. And now at 25 minutes, Red Forest were up 9-4, and Dread was still 3-0-3. He was now 3-0-3, creating 2 more assists, and their gold lead was 3.5K. So that just is an indicator of how the game did not progress that much in that time period, because even Red Forest's gold lead only increased by 500. Obviously, they would take the next Drake. Kana would then do some work. He was up 4K gold by himself. He had 3K gold lead by 15 minutes over Hoya because they spent so much time in top. Kana was just a monster on Nar. So they create that gap. Nanshan would win, get the Soul Point, go 2-0 afterwards, and then go 2-0 again in the following minute in another fight in mid. So they were just rolling by this point. They would then take the Baron off of that and then end through top 4-0. They just dominated. It was 18-6. It wasn't even close. That was 38 minutes long. All 3 games would be around the same time amount of time it took, 38, 38, and 39. Game 2, like I said, Damwon would sub out Hoya for Birdall. It was a slower early game where Red Forest would take an Infernal and Ocean before 14 minutes and then also gank top. So they went top again and came out 2-1. Kana would then solo kill Birdall at 14 minutes. As Red Force goes 2-0 in bot lane, creating a play in bot. So they are just getting ahead again. Damwon would get a pick play to take a Chemtech Drake to prevent Soul Point. BDD got a double kill shortly after that in mid. Canyon would then solo kill Ghost. And that's where things started going in the favor of Damwon in this game. By 20 minutes, it was 9-4 Red Force, and Kana was 4-2-4. But Damwon was up in gold at this point because of Canyon. Canyon solo kill on Ghost. Plus, he was really far ahead of Dread in this game. He was winning the Diana Viego matchup big time. 22 minutes, Red Force would go to Soul Point. Damwon, however, would win 3-1 in a team fight afterwards, which then grew their gold lead to 4K, so their itemization was getting ahead, which then just kind of snowballed from there. Like, there's not a lot of black down here because the teams decided we were only going to fight around objectives. So after 22 minutes, when Nanshan went and got that Soul Point, Damwon fought them afterwards. There wasn't another fight until, there were skirmishes, but there was no significant fight where a lot of players died until the final fight at 38 minutes. Between then, Damwon was able to go to Soul Point on Chemtech Drakes, take a Baron and extend their gold lead, and then at 38 minutes, it was time. Both teams were at Soul Point. Somebody had to get the Chemtech Soul. So, at 38 minutes, it was 4v5. Red Force had gotten a pick play. Damwon had to take the fight, and they ended up winning the fight 3-0, and take the Soul, and Duckdam ended up being the carry in that fight. He had 3 or 4 kills on Aphelios, and that's what won them the game. It was 13-13, but it all came down to that final fight because for 10 minutes, nobody was doing anything. Even longer, 15 minutes. So, Damwon is looking pretty bad right now. They have some work to do. Thankfully, it's early in the split. Spring split really doesn't matter. But I'm sure they would like to perform better given, the pressure they probably have on themselves. Self-imposed and media-imposed. Game 3 was a blowout, 11-4, but it was a lot slower. Nanshan would decide, we're going bot lane this time. Okay, we've been going top the last 2 games, getting ourselves ahead, but we are going to go after the bot lane. And boy, did they put Duck Dam behind. They hit the bot lane 3 times in the first 9 minutes, which opened up a monster gold lead in bot. Turned into a eventual soul because they had the first 2 Drakes before 15 minutes. It was just crazy. 10 minutes, Red Force are up 3-0, 2.5K gold lead. They were just dominating. By 15 minutes, they would go 2-1 for a Rift Herald, and Kana would have a double kill in that fight on Gwen. And then at that point, it was 7-2. They had a 4K gold lead, and Kana was 3-1, so Kana now is ahead, in addition to the bot lane. By that point, as you can see here, like this game, there wasn't a lot of fighting going on between about 20 minutes and, the end of the game. There were only 15 kills. Nanshan would go to Soul Point without contention. Damwon would go 1-1 in a fight for the next one to be able to take it. So they were able, Red Force was like, okay, fine, we'll give it away. Afterwards, Nanshan, now at Soul Point, may have lost a player, but they took a 4v5 and ended up getting the Mountain Soul. 36 minutes later, there was contention for the Elder. Nanshan would get a pick and then take that, which then turned right into a Baron because Damwon decided to reset. And that was it. BDD had a double kill in the final push at 39 minutes to end the game 11-4. Damwon looked pretty bad. They looked bad in all 3 games. Even the game they won, they looked bad. So I don't know what to really say about them. They're clearly one of the top 5 teams in the world still, but they aren't looking like it. They have a lot of work to do. Like I said, that top lane needs a lot of work. They need to figure something out with that. I don't know. with a team like that, you just need to find somebody that's okay playing weak side tank and not die. Like, they are dying hard. Like, they can't even get by. Like, Jace in this game, Birdall was like 1-5-1 at one point. And I'm thinking to myself, how the hell can this team not try and keep their top laner ahead, or just say, hey, back off. Back off. You might lose a couple farm, but you're not going to be losing multiple waves because you're forced to sit in the gray screen. So, pretty crazy. The second game was between KT and HLE. This was 2-0, obviously. Very, very slow games. I've now decided that not only Fred at Brion is slow as hell, but when HLE and them played, it made sense that it went 3 games and it was as slow as it was, because HLE slow plays games too. So, it started off KT. Arya set the tone. Arya would have a solo kill on Karis in the first 5 minutes. HLE would respond with a gank. KT then said, okay, fine, you can gank. We're going to take the objective. So they took the Infernal, which eventually they would get to Soul Point before this game was done. HLE would then go after Arya, pick off Arya. And they would do that on 2 occasions. So by 19 minutes, well, actually, shoot. I got ahead of myself. I was going to timestamp something as notable time. Where's the game stayed at? But so HLE picked off Arya a second time. KT said, okay, fine, we'll take the mountain when you reset. So now KT's up 2-0 in Drakes. HLE would win a team fight 2-1 in mid, and then also went. So at 20 minutes, they're up 4-2, and Karis is 2-1-1 at the time, I believe. So the next team fight, HLE would take the Ocean 2 times in a row. So similarly to these games, and how I'm saying that this was a slow game, for the next 15 minutes, nothing happened. Between 20 and 37 minutes. Definitely 20 and 30 minutes, but 20 and 37 minutes was before multiple people died in a fight. Because HLE would take 2 Oceans uncontested, pretty much. At 30 minutes, HLE would take the Baron 1-0. They got a pick and then took Baron. They're up, and then they were only able to get 2.5k gold lead out of it, which evened out the game at the time because KT had a slight gold lead before that. At 37 minutes, KT and them would actually duke it out, where KT won a team fight 3-1, which resulted in Ocean Soul Point. Aiming had a triple kill in that fight on Aphelios. Rascal would then solo kill Karis in the side lane, just to show how ahead Rascal was in this game on Akali. So at 35 minutes, the game was 7-7. It was all tied up. HLE had a slight gold lead, but at 37 minutes, it was 7-7. So it all came down to one fight at 38 minutes. KT won at 3-0. Aiming had a triple kill in that fight. They won the game. It says 12-7 because they killed the final 2 members at Fountain, but I mean, the game was pretty slow. These teams weren't really contesting objectives when they needed to in these games. They kind of just let games get away from themselves. Even game 2 here, Red Force allowed it to get away from themselves, and Damwon let it get away in the first game. It's just they're not contesting objectives. They're hoping to scale, and in doing so, they end up flipping a coin in the end. Game 2 was 16-10. Rascal ends up being my MVP, more so for what he did in Game 2 than Game 1. On Lee Sin, he was making plays. He was able to pick off the carries of HLE in team fights because the game was going slow, as you can imagine. The first time anyone got killed was at 10 minutes when KT ended up going mid lane. By 15 minutes, KT had the first 2 Drakes. 17 minutes, HLE would win a team fight 2-0 in mid. At 20 minutes, there was a fight for Ocean. At 20 minutes, there was a fight for Ocean, and HLE won that 2-1. So at 22 minutes, HLE was up 6-4, but KT was up in gold because KT were out farming HLE. especially in top lane. Rascal was getting ahead. 26 minutes. It was 26 minutes. KT would go to Soul Point. However, afterwards there would be a fight where they went 3-1. Which they won 3-1, and then the next fight they won at 29 minutes 2-1. So KT were winning fights in the mid to late game as we were getting closer and closer to 30 minutes. The game just kind of went right into their hands. HLE allowed it. I mean, they allowed it to get to a point at 20 minutes, and then they said, oh shoot, we should probably fight some of these, and it's too late then. HLE would take the next Drake, take an Ocean, and at 30 minutes, KT were up 9-8, had a 7K gold lead, and a 3K gold lead, and Arya was 5-1 and 2 on LeBlanc. So Arya was a key contributor in these fights. He was able to get only one kill here or there, but in every interaction he was doing something. He was picking off the opponents. It was probably the best LeBlanc game I've seen this year out of any of the regions. I'm happy to see it because I've been pretty hard on Arya and how I've been talking about KT and what I expected out of him. So in this game, he actually showed up. At 32 minutes, KT would take the Baron, which then pushed her gold lead to 9K, and that was pretty much it. I mean, HLE would make a stand and actually show up, but it was much too late for that, so KT decided to reset and then push down mid and end the game. So, like I said, that game was 16-10. Rascal's the MVP because he got out to a big lead and was a key contributor in those fights, like I said. Like in the one fight in mid. The one fight in mid at 32 minutes to get the Baron because KT had won 2-0 to be able to do that. I believe that was the fight where he was able to snipe out Sam D with Lee Sin and kick him into the team from behind a wall. So that's probably the play of the series. I mean, I think it won them game 2. But nevertheless, this is my LCK coverage for today, and now on to the LPL. Hello, and welcome to the second half of my video where I'm covering the LCK and LPL for January 19th. Here we have our two matchups of the day in the LPL. You've already obviously watched the LCK part. So, first matchup was between Top Esports and Team Wii. Team Wii has played every matchup hard, no matter who they've been against, and this one was no different. Top, once again, looks suspect. Nevertheless, the series went 3 games. So, game 1, we jumped out early, ensured that they'd get a Hextech Drake. The early game was slow for the first few minutes. Actually, not only that, BuBu would get a solo kill on Zoom in the early game, and we would also go steal the Rift Herald. So we were coming out strong in the first few minutes of this game. However, afterwards, there would be a trade of kills in top lane, and when we took the mountain at 11 minutes, top were ready to pounce, and Knight was ready to pounce on LeBlanc. He would get a double kill as part of a 3-1 teamfight win, which evened out the game 4-4, and actually put top ahead 1.5K gold at the time. Knight was 3-0-0 on LeBlanc. He ends up being the MVP, despite them actually losing game 1. He obviously showed up in game 1, clearly. Top would then take the Ocean, and Top would go to Soul Point eventually with Ocean Drakes. However, during that time, Team Wii were content in building farm. So they would build farm and build up their lead in gold. Excuse me. 18 minutes. It was 1-1 in River. At 21 minutes, Team Wii would get a 2-0 team fight win to be able to take Baron, push their gold lead to 2K. By 28 minutes, after multiple Drakes were taken by Top and we were hands off, allowing them to take them, it was Team Wii up 7-5, still the same amount of gold, and Shank was 1-1-5, carrying them on Rise as he had a more supportive build on Rise. He was playing Tank Rise. At 31 minutes, we would take the Baron, win the fight 3-0 afterwards, and just end the game. They had the right ruins to be able to take down turrets really quickly. They had the right team composition to be able to do it, and they just stormed down the game and won 10-5. There was not a lot of action in that game in terms of kills because, I mean, Team We were fine in the mid to late game to allow Top to take Drakes and just farm. So that game was pretty self-explanatory in that way. There wasn't a lot going on. The next game, there was even less going on in terms of things that happened. So once again, the team started off slow. Team We would take the Cloud, and Team We would get out to an early lead again by taking the Rift Herald. Excuse me again. When they took that Rift Herald at 9 minutes, Top were ready, won 2-1 afterwards, winning the fight, and then going over to take an Ocean Drake. Team Wee's bot lane would get a 2v2 kill. And then at 17 minutes, Top would steal the Mountain Drake. Team Wee would respond with 2 kills of their own, and then also get multiple kills in mid lane. So at 20 minutes, Team Wee were ahead once again, 7-4. And View was 2-1-4 on Viego. So View once again showed up. He's been playing well in multiple games. In every series, he has a moment that he kind of sticks out where he seems to be maybe their best player. Now they're 0-3, so, I mean, we'll see how they do against teams more, at the bottom of the standings. Top would go to Soul Point, and in the end, actually go to Mountain, get the Mountain Soul. Shows how big that steal was at 17 minutes. 24 minutes, Jackie Love would have a double kill, and then he would have another double kill a couple minutes later to take the Baron. So at 26 minutes, that 3-1 team fight win, took the Baron, were able to push their gold lead to 4.5K. And during that, they took the Mountain Soul. So now they have the Mountain Soul with all that priority. And right after it ends, at 29 minutes, they're able to win a team fight 3-0 and end the game. So, I mean, things happened quickly towards the end. At 20 minutes, we were up 7-4, and in the end, they lose 12-8. Because those two team fights at the end at 24 and 26 minutes went 5-2 in the favor of, actually 5-1 in the favor of Top, because Jackie Love did so much. Sorry about that. I had to pause, so I really lost my place. So I'm just going to go over Game 3 now. Game 3 between we and Top. We got out to an early lead again, just like the other two games. They win 3-2 in bot lane, and then also take the Rift Herald in a 1-0 team fight win. So they're ahead. Top respond by taking the Chemtech Drake. Top would go top to make sure that they win the Set Gragas matchup. There are a lot of interesting picks in this series. We saw a Tarek, we saw a Braum. It was interesting. So by 10 minutes, Team We were up 4-3. Stay was 2-0-2 on Aphelios because of the way he carried that bot lane fight at 5 minutes, as well as playing a part in the Rift Herald take. The teams would exchange Drakes over the next several minutes. Team We taking Ocean and an Infernal, whereas Top took a Baron at 20 minutes, which was huge because they took that Baron because they had a double kill by Jackie Love, a 2-0 team fight win. And that pretty much decided the game. By 23 minutes, they were up 6K gold. Bubu had a double kill to end the Baron push. 24 minutes, Top are up 9-6. Knight is 1-2-7 again on Victor. He was carrying this game. There were moments even in lane where he was just sending out his abilities and just taking out most of the health of the opponent, and not killing them, obviously, so it doesn't show up that he got kills, but he's got the assists and the damage numbers to showcase that he was doing work on Victor. 26 minutes, Jackie Love would end the game getting a double kill. Final score 13-6. Team We, like I said, they've been competitive in all 3 games. All 3 early games they're ahead. And what does it say about Top? I have Top 7th in my rankings. They should be a playoff team. But every series they make you wonder what the hell are they doing. So so the next series was between LNG and IG. This was much more clear-cut, especially in Game 1. You see 17-4. LNG smoked them. I have never seen such a high gold lead in my life, 15K, without ending the game before it. LNG started early by going bot, getting multiple kills in the early game, went down there twice. By 10 minutes, LNG were up 2.5K gold. IG would take a mountain. LNG would then go bot and say, okay, well, fine then. We're going to, really crush you in bot lane, I guess, because you thought you had priority. LNG would win that fight 4-0. Light and Tarzan both getting double kills. 15 minutes is an 8K gold lead. I mean, 15 minutes, the game was over. LNG would eventually go to Soul Point before this game was done. They took an Infernal, and then IG would take the Chemtech. Oh, actually, sorry. IG took the Mountain that with their priority at first. Whatever. Nevertheless, LNG were stacking Drakes. IG took the Mountain. Teams would trade pick plays between 15 and 20 minutes. You know, IG were able to try and crawl back into this game. Excuse me. 21 minutes, the game was 10K gold. 25 minutes, there's a 3-0 in mid where Tarzan had a triple kill on Diana. And, I mean, the game was just done. 26 minutes, they took the Baron. They didn't end for some reason. They went to Soul Point before that and then aced them. I mean, that was kind of a sloppy review, but the game was, I mean, I think my review was better than IG's performance in this game. It was downright awful. The young team were outclassed in Game 1. Game 2, they were a little bit more competitive, despite the score being 12-6. IG started the game off strong, throwing the first punch by going top lane to try and win their Graves matchup. At 8 minutes, there was a 1-1 in bot lane. There was a skirmish in bot lane. They exchanged Drakes before 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, there was a fight in the jungle that was split 1-1. There was another fight in mid that was split 1-1. So both teams were going back and forth, you know, skirmishing, and neither one was coming out ahead. But at 23 minutes, they both had 2 Drakes. LNG had a pick play to be able to get that Drake, so 4 Drakes were taken at 23 minutes. 28 minutes, timestamp, LNG are up 5-4, and only 2K gold. So the game is close. It's much more close in this game. I mean, hell, it's a game still. At 28 minutes, this game was, I mean, I couldn't believe it was still going on at 28 minutes. 30 minutes, IG would take the Baron, but the problem is, they took that Baron and they did nothing with it. So this was their opportunity to win this game and continue the series. They didn't. They lost. I mean, they only got 1K gold out of it, and in the end, they lost because of it. 34 minutes, LNG would go to Soul Point in a fight that went 2-2, so still the game is close. Back and forth, the game is still on the line where IG should be ahead because of the Baron, and they're not. 38 minutes, IG would take another Baron, but LNG would respond, getting a clean ace, Light with a quadra kill on Caitlyn, and that was it. They were just able to go because there was no one left on IG to stop them from ending the game. So the first game was awful by IG. The second game was competitive. They should have probably won it, but a young team makes mistakes like that. So, I mean, I don't know. This was my 4th ranked team against my 10th ranked team. LNG, this was probably Game 1 was LNG's best performance of the season so far. The other 2 series are pretty sloppy. IG, I mean, IG is coin flip right now because they are so young and raw. I'm not surprised by this performance. I mean, I am surprised how poorly they played in Game 1, but in the end, I'm not surprised that they lost or that they were clearly outclassed. So, nevertheless, thank you for watching. If you missed my LPL power rankings, they were a couple days ago. My LCK ones were yesterday, and my LEC ones will be today. So, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and constructive criticism is good criticism.